We're here, live again. And look, don't let the title fool you on this. This ain't no actual invention I'm actually going to be coming out with. Though I might try to make a version of it for myself. I'm not actually going to be, I mean, building these for fucking sale, man. Not fucking anything like that. But so as you see how good my plants outside grew in a cold environment, I was saying to myself, why the heck don't I just stick some in the refrigerator? Then I figured, came into problems with the lighting. I want to add the CO2 into the refrigerator. I want a fully adjustable, controlled environment where I can get it below the 30s, and then I can get it all the way up to maybe the 70s and even, yes, the 80s degree temperatures. Now you might ask, how would I do that? Well, I'd have to build one, I'll modify one. Now over here I'm showing you kind of like what I would kind of want to do. I'd want it to have like a clear door. This one's kind of cool. Although I like the side by side personally. But so you got a clear door here. I can remove any of the paneling or something inside of there so that you can have it big enough to house plants, clones, seedlings. And I'd like to even try finishing a grow inside one of these contained units. I think this is the future of growing marijuana and growing in general. An entire system that is very much like a refrigerator, where it's a contained, controlled environment. You don't have to deal with a tent, and you can just have CO2 pumped in. It's got a dehumidifier inside the refrigerator. Pretty much the refrigerator has everything you ever needed in it, except you want to have an outlet inside of there so you can plug a light in, grow light. You want to be able to control the humidity and the temperature, which you can kind of do already with the refrigerator. So my whole idea was this. I'm going to be showing you how to, I believe it's tissue culture. I'm going to show you the channel on where to look for the tissue culture. But I started to think, well, can I just stick a clone? Because I have a few clones that are really nice. I have no use. I'm already got all the plants I need, but what do I do with them? It would be nice if I could stick them in a cold environment, something between like the mid 40s to upper 40s. It would never deviate from that. It would get a certain amount of light per year and possibly put strains into a hibernation state, kind of like how we saw that seedling outside I had over there. That seedling had to have been in that seedling state, let's see, February, March, April, May. Definitely at least 3 months. It was just sitting there doing nothing really. You know what I mean? Just like hibernating, I guess you could say. So I was like, what if the same thing could be done with the cannabis? A cutting clone of cannabis, and you could control the environment perfectly to get it to stay in the hibernation state for extended periods of time, and then pull it out when you need one to grow. Thus, you'd be able to control phenotypes of all of your strains, and you'd have them ready to rock and roll for you. Whereas with the tissue culture, you still have to do a little bit of the process to bring that clone back. So then I started thinking, wow, all right, maybe this refrigerator thing would actually work. Now you kind of see dual-sided refrigerators. Let's see, pretty simple video. You know what I mean? Let's see. See, like this right here. This is kind of cool. I like the double doors, but I want the freezer. I guess might have to have a LED screen so you can see what's going on inside, or you could probably just open the door. Because I want to have a freezer section to where you get like to the freezer conditions, so that you can have two sides of it. You know what I mean? A side where it's really, really freaking cold, and a side where it's like cold to hibernate. Try to do it in stages, kind of like how I did out there. And if you prep your grow right, you could theoretically have a constant flow of plants just ready to be pulled out and put into veg. Now, I don't even know if it's possible to put a clone into hibernation, but that's why I'm just going to say I'm just going to be trying it out. I've got an old refrigerator downstairs. I'm going to see if I can, like, rig a grow light inside of it, sticking the wire through, and just seeing how long I can survive in there, monitor the temperatures and things like that, and the humidity. Obviously, the light could produce heat, and LED would be perfect, and different things like that. So here's kind of like something right here. I like this right here. I like that. Now, something like this, to where it was like really wide and deep. Like if you could get if you get something like this, and I could like, I'd probably even have to shape the metal myself to get like make a cheap like 4 foot wide by like 4 foot wide, like you know what I mean, 4 foot tall. Or like nah, make it like a real grow tent, a 4x4 grow tent size, right? And it has sheet metal paneling. You can like attach together and like caulk in there. Now it doesn't have to be like a perfect refrigerator because you're not actually keeping food in there or anything. Like you don't have to worry about having a perfect seal, which is why I think this would work. And because it's in a contained environment, you don't really have to worry about any like contaminants getting in the refrigerator. You know what I mean? So I think I've seen also, if you go to these boutiques that sell flowers, you'll notice they have refrigerators and they'll have the cut flowers in there because they last longer. They can hibernate. Apparently, like once it gets cold, they stop like dying as fast. So now imagine something like this. We can have multiple racks with multiple lights, and then you got a big pot down there. It's growing out of there, stuff like that. So, I mean, you could also then take the shelves out, and you could stick one big pot in there, and you could grow a nice big tall plant. Would be interesting if you could program one of these things to where it was like, okay, I want it to start as a seed in the soil. I want the soil to be in the low 30s, and then slowly get warmer, and then spike in the heat and come down, and then have the seed sprout, and then keep it in a cold state, and then slowly warm it up like it does in nature, and then get to the temperature it likes in the springtime and growing. And I think this would be a cool way of doing it. It would just take all the work out of trying to maintain a tent. If you could have one of these that was like a 4x4 tent size and kind of like a walk-in, a walk-in refrigerator that was like a tent with like glass doors so you can look inside of it. Again, you wouldn't have to really worry about like excess waste of like it being a perfect seal because obviously having a perfect refrigerator 4x4 is going to be a lot of money. You could makeshift it and stuff like that. And then there's a CO2 component you can put in here to where you can attach a CO2 tank with a hose and have that all regulated so it's putting the CO2 in there and all that stuff, which is kind of actually even more cool to me. I don't know. You could probably do a lot of things with this. I think probably the best way anyone might want to maybe experiment with how the heck that plant grew out there like that, which is kind of impressive. I'll admit to myself, seeing how it was frozen and it's still golden and good. So, if you wanted to find those indoors, you would want to use a refrigerator to grow them and sprout them and then stick them in the freezer and then put them back in the refrigerator and see which ones live and which ones die. Then you know which ones are resistant to the cold. But to do that, you kind of need a refrigerator that's like made for a plant that has a light that can be on in there. It's not going to suffocate. You got like a flow of CO2 coming in, and you got maybe an exhaust going out. I know they have dehumidifiers, so they kind of do that. So, pretty interesting idea I had there. Kind of sparked the idea from seeing how the plant grew outdoors, and take one for the road on this chairs, taking a nice little bong of some high cultivar. Oh yeah. Oh man. Wow. This stuff really it hits the cerebral receptors real hard, man. Ooh, kind of love this. Man, I love this strain. Okay. So we've seen that. Pretty interesting. That'll conclude this video pretty much. I'm just going to take a few bongs, then end it. Showing different refrigerators. Now, if you ever opened up a refrigerator, you'll see all these different components to a refrigerator. But there are these guys, these refrigerator repairmen, and like plumbers, and electricians. They can. I could actually pay some of them to try and make this thing. Might cost a bit of money though, but I'm thinking if I modify an existing refrigerator system, because I don't need it to be perfect. You know what I mean? I just need what I want for a grow tent. Because another problem I've gotten in my grow room is, dude, I got shit from the outside coming in. These I don't know if they got these in your areas. We call them stink bugs. They're fucking annoying fuckers. You kill it, it'll fucking the worst smell, right? Those fuckers flying in my tent and shit, man. It's like you can't keep that shit good. So what I started to do, I sewed in some netting mesh. So I got a mesh thing that I can put up that goes over it to kind of prevent that. But I'm saying, what would it be so cool if it was actually a perfectly sealed environment to where, you know how when you open a refrigerator door, it's got that seal on it? That's what I'm talking about. I want a door like that. And I want a door, too. And like I said, I think it would be pretty. It wouldn't be. It shouldn't be that difficult. We're talking about cheap sheet metal walls, right? Um, a a frame that you'll screw the sheet metal to make the box, right? That can support the weight of like grow lights or whatever, right? And then you want to put the sealer on the doors, right? Maybe even just buy refrigerator doors and just modify it on, right? And then like see how these refrigerators have this little the bottom part, right? It does have some shit that comes up through the rear, but that bottom shit right here, that's where your components usually are. All that shit down there. So I'm thinking if I could get like one of those or maybe two of those and stick them in there, and then modify it so it all works together. That kind of would kind of be kind of cool, I think. I don't know. Now I'm thinking like, what's it cost to run a refrigerator all the time? I don't know. So gotta calculate that price in uh, to the grow operation. So then you'd have. Then I've been thinking, okay. So if let's say I do it, I succeed, I make the fucking tent thing. It's a refrigerator door thing. Now I have the worries of getting locked in these fucking things. Like you don't want to get locked in a refrigerator. So I'm thinking, okay, I gotta make sure that the door is all safe so that you can get out in case it gets stuck or it seals and you can't push it for some whatever reason something happens like that. So I was thinking you could have like a lever hinge. If you ever looked at a door hinge, how it has that thing that you can pop out. So that would be on the inside, not the outside. And it would have like a lever on it. So you could like the pin goes down, but it comes up and it goes over like a lever and down. And I would make it so that you can pull the levers all the way to one side on all of them, and then you could actually lift the door right out of the hinge if you ever need to escape. So in the need to escape, you would just need to pull all the levers. There's probably be four of them, and then like push the door, and it should just fall straight out. An emergency situation. So that's how I would solve that problem. Uh, Another problem is walking on it. If this thing was down on the bottom, walking on it, the sheet metal and stuff, the weight wouldn't be good, right? So what I would do is I would actually have that unit thing on the bottom would be in the inside of it, and it would probably work, but I might have to put it on the outside too. It might be temperature. It might have to be at a certain temperature, room temperature. So a refrigerator might fuck it up. So it would just be like off to the side. You know what I mean? Positioned somewhere attached to the box because you wouldn't want to walk on it. Or maybe you could make it so you could. I don't know, but or just don't walk on that spot. I also want to make the floor of this thing concave down a little bit, and I want to have racks. A rack that goes over it, like a grating, so that when you water your plants, the water will just come down and it'll go through the drain out the refrigerator. Or I know people like to check the ppm of each runoff of the pot, so maybe I would make each spot where a plant could go, or it would have a concave. Here's what I have to do to make it customizable. It would be a plastic fitting that would go over the bottom, and you could have one main drain, or you could have a bunch of drains per where your plants are. That way, if you ever did want to check the runoff, you could check the runoff easier, and you'd know each specific runoff of each plant. So that would be simple, customizable thing, just using plastic trays with concaved bottoms that run to a hose that then can be taken out of the thing through a hole that you seal up. So then you got that I thought of. That pretty much covers it all. But then the question is would this be better than a grow tent? I don't know. Would it save you money on an air conditioning? Because keep in mind, you gotta run an air conditioning, you gotta run a dehumidifier, you're gonna run your lights anyway, and all that shit. So, I mean, you're gonna be running it anyway. Why not just have it all in one big unit like that, and then you don't even have to worry. It's just sealed up. And it's sealed from the outside, so you don't have to worry about the environment outside your tent. Because another thing, like if you got a tent in a room, you want the outside to have a good environment too. Otherwise, like VPD is gonna be more difficult to achieve because let's say the outside of your tent was like 20 fucking humidity, and you're inside your tent, you wanted it at like 58 or something. Well, now you got the outsides probably sucking humidity out from the inside. You know what I mean? It's a waste. Whereas if you had a sealed environment, it might actually take less electricity to have the humidifier do what it needs to do, as well as the even when it comes down to the lighting. I'm thinking the lighting could work off of whatever electrical supply that the refrigerator can supply to it, right? Because I'm thinking like I want it to have like a outlet inside of it. So you have the outlet, what I don't know, high enough up to code, and you'd that way you could plug shit you wanted in it, like because there's probably a lot of stuff you're gonna want to plug inside of there anyway. Like have a fan. A fan would be cool, you know what I mean? A little spot for a fan, all that stuff, right? And what else? What else could you possibly have? You could have automated watering now. You could have it so that, like, you know how refrigerators they do their filtered water. See, it even comes down to the filtered water aspect of this. Now, the filtered water in your refrigerators. Imagine if you could just send it right into your plants right from there with like a little hose that you attach and it can go to wherever. You just plug hoses in to like a little thing that can plug them into, right? And like so it's all watering in there. You can have it mist if you wanted to mist. You can have it do all of the shit you want to do. Program it. You can even have it computerized so you can program shit on different days for it to do. And then you can have it add the fertilizer to it at the ppm you want and feed the plant through another feeding hose. So you have the purified water hose that you can have it remineralized with the filter, and then you have the fertilizer hose going in it, and you have it all programmed so it does it all yourself. And you don't have to do fucking shit. Now you could already do that with a tent, but like I said, a tent you need all these different fucking things all plugged into all these different fucking things, and it's a lot on the house's outlets and stuff. Like, but imagine if you had one unit you could plug in to the wall, and it did everything you fucking needed it to do. Except maybe there's a few things that might not be able to do that maybe someone can think of. But this is the ultimate right here. It would be the freaking ultimate thing right there. Because I know a lot of people are like, oh, plants like 80-degree weather. They like it at 80s. I know, and it would be able to do that too. At some point, the refrigerator part of it, you're not going to really need it to make it really cold at some point because you're going to want to be hot once it's really vegging, right? I'm talking this thing will make it like it's the outside, man. It'll be able to do cold like winter, like springtime. It'll have fall conditions, summer. You know what I mean? All you'd have to do is have it turn off the refrigerator part aspect of it, but still have it to controlled at like 80 or something, right? And then you'd have it just sucking air out at that point, right? Because you'd want to, when it's hot, you kind of want the cycling of the air. Now, when you're talking about cold, like 40 degrees, like because there's a dehumidifier in that thing, and it like kind of it's dehumidifying. You could have also obviously have it pulling some air out too. Uh, But like I said, I mean, it doesn't have to be a perfect refrigeration. I mean, we're not going to be eating food in there. You're not going to get sick if something like you have fluctuations or anything. Now, a refrigerator has to be like that because we eat out of it. Who cares about like something for plants? We're just talking about something that can just do everything you need to do, just from one unit, one plug into the wall, and you're set. And a refrigerator pretty much does all that stuff. You might have to add a few things to it. Like I said, I want a CO2 tank. I want it to regulate the CO2, all like different controllers all over it to control like the lighting. This even it would be awesome to have a little computer system on the side that you could type into with a little like screen over there, and you could like program days and like there's different things like that. And so you'd have its entire grow programmed from the fertilizer to the water. You don't have to do shit. It just does it for you. And then like it'll let you know when it's done. It'll be like bing. Now imagine if you had like AI inside of the friggin' tent that had little like things that come out with scissors, and it could like trim and train your plant for you, and you didn't even have to do that. How cool would that be? That would be fucking sweet right there. I'm telling you, this is a pretty cool idea right here. It might be a little pricey though because we're talking. But again, I don't know how much the refrigerator unit on the bottom, all those components might not be that much money. I'm thinking you might need double or maybe even triple that to get a 4x4 how you need it, which wouldn't be that big of a deal, I guess, if it didn't cost as much. Because we're not talking like a refrigerator costs a lot because it has to be completely sealed, it has to work properly, and it has to like all this shit. I'm talking cheap. Well, not cheap. I'm talking like a frame, metal frame with this technology in it, and just sheet metal panels just like screwed into it. And maybe before you stick the panel on, you stick a little like caulking onto it and seal it up. And anyone could do it. So the kit could be mailed at your house. You put it all together, you stick it all on there, and then you attach the refrigerator unit inside, and it just the components go where the hoses go. Because if you ever seen one of these things, once you get all that shit together down there, it's pretty much like hoses connected inside that like push like the cold in. Like you'll see like um, how it does it if you ever seen one of these. Because I had a refrigerator go on us. That was how long ago was that? That was a long time ago, but whatever. But I still saw how it worked under there. And I remember it all like fed to a tube that went and fed inside that like shot the refrigeration air in, and then something came out. A tube was coming out of it that I think might have even fed back into the unit or something. I don't know. The way they work, it's crazy. But like I said, there's refrigerator repairmen and there's plumbers and electricians. All this could be done. Pretty cool too. Imagine having it on wheels like that, so you can just wheel it around. And you could have a facility. I don't know. You could get one of those room refrigerators they have at some of these places if they go out of business, like the restaurants or whatever. Someone should try converting one of them and seeing if it makes a better grow environment if it's just completely sealed from the outside. I know people like to do doors and stuff. I'm talking refrigerator sealed in there. Like you're like taking the air out, like it would be in space. You know what I mean? Like crazy shit like that. That might be pretty cool. But under those conditions, I think you could simulate the outdoors, and maybe outdoor magic could happen inside of one of these strings. Is what I'm thinking. Because I think it has a lot to do with like the perfect fluctuation. Now imagine if you could put a thermometer or a barometer outside that measured everything outside your house, and you could have the tent, or not the tent, forgive me. You could have this device mimic the exact conditions that are outside, so it would know like it would know how to mimic the outdoors. You know what I mean? It would know how to do it, and it would do it for you because it would get all the numbers. Okay, like let's say you have a good year in 2022 or something. You can say, okay, what were the weather conditions? If it mapped out the entire year's weather, now it knows what to do for an entire year to make it really good. And then from there, you can then tweak things and say, yeah, maybe rain on that day wasn't as good, and maybe this day is better, or like obviously plants grow differently, but think about it, on the outside, like you do have to water it yourself too. So rain isn't everything, man. Without water out there, magic won't happen. It is the living soil inside the soil. And I'm even thinking that might even live better inside a refrigerator. They even say it, like when you buy these things, like the nematodes and all that stuff, you can keep them in your refrigerator a good amount of time before you use them, and like a lot of these things, because they can live longer in the refrigerator because it's like at a certain temperature. And if you can mimic that temperature, that would be, I'd say, the most ideal ever. Because another thing is, like, we're talking soil temperature too. So a lot of times when you have it in your tent and the temperature goes to 80, what if the magic's getting out of there because like outside, like the soil temperature underground is never going to be 80 around it and stuff. Like, and I know air pruning and stuff like that, but still, it's kind of in a fucking an oven when you think about it. So it'd be cool maybe if you could kind of like have it so like the lower parts were a little more refrigerated when you really want to veg it out. You have it so the refrigerating happens kind of low to refrigerate the bottom pot area to like the correct temperature. I think it's like 60 or 70 plant like roots like, or 50 or 60. I don't know. Might be like 60 or something like that, right? The ground temperature. So you mimic that ground temperature, while at the same time you have like the light above, or like maybe blowing a little like warm air in to make the upper part like 80 degrees. I think that's a big part of it too. And it would be like the only way I can think of to mimic outdoors would be one of these cool like things like this, like a refrigerated 4x4, sealed up. You could open the door, build it at your house, like put it together. That is, I would think, the future of marijuana right here. Because you know, like a lot of the Zoomers and stuff, they don't like to do a lot of the pain and neck work and stuff because their lives move so quick now. They're all technology, all fast paced, nonstop, right? That's why they started making short videos, right? Because they wanted to help get their attention. A lot of them don't want to sit through like a 40-minute video for the information. They just want the information, right? Same with the marijuana. I think a lot of people, they ain't even being like the other generations. They just want the weed, man. If they could stick something in there and just have it do everything for you, they'll be all for that. I mean, we're obviously not there with the artificial intelligence and the robotic arms coming out and training everything for you in this thing, but I mean, soon in the future we'll be there. I mean, that's pretty much the only thing you'd have to do is train it and do that shit to it, right? Every plant's gonna grow different, so there's gonna be that aspect of it. You might have to monitor the controls and stuff. But if you had the artificial intelligence and it knew when the plant was doing good, it knew when the plant wasn't, and knew how to fix it, imagine being able to just say, okay, here's my seed, or the machine's loaded with the seed. You just type in, you say, today I want like to start, let's say Bubba hash number 5 or something crazy like that, and it says okay, it'll be ready in 6 months. And you go, all right, cool. And then like 6 months later, you get like a notification on your phone, your marijuana is ready. Do you want us to cut it down and cure it for you? And you're like, yes. So then the thing would chop it up, trim it up, and then it would cure it inside the machine. And then it'd be like, yep, your marijuana is dried and cured. Would you like to sample it? You hit, yep, and then it goes over, and you stick a cup, and it just distributes like an eighth to you, burp, into a little thing. You're like, yes. And then you get your buds, and you're like, ah, this smells awesome. And it tells you, yep, we analyzed the marijuana, no mold, no anything. We used UV spectrum to purify it for you, sir. And you say, thank you, robot. Pack my bomb. And all of a sudden, it comes up with an arm, breaks up some pot, puts it in, and lights your bowl. And it would sound something like this. Uh, See, that was a more smoother hit. It's always the first hit of high that'll get you. When you hit this the first time, it's the all that THC hitting you. But then once you get used to it, you're like, oh yes. Then it starts dripping smooth. So you could also have a locking device on this. Like now they say, oh, you have to have a lock on your shit. They're gonna say, well, you could also have this so it was lockable, so that if they say, oh, new laws in the future, perfect, right there. You could even set up cameras inside so you can remotely look at it from your phone if you're at work, just to monitor it. You're like, oh shit, I forgot to look at the plants. I wonder how they're doing. You look it up, you're like, ah, look at that. This thing's doing great. But again, for what I'm going to be trying to start out with, I'm going to try to stick some clones in that I really don't want to kill. And I don't want to give away the high, you know what I mean? And I could never kill the high. So I'm just going to try to keep it like in a refrigerated condition. See what happens. See what the freaking happens. I could also I guess I could flour some shit. Let's say I floured it now. June, July. Say July, August. I could get a harvest in before my harvest. Have like 2 harvests this year. If I wanted it, it would be barely anything on the plant. I mean, I guess I could do that. I mean, that's kind of, I guess, something I should probably try, maybe. I don't know. Problem is, I like to go on vacation and shit, so I don't have to deal with shit, you know what I mean? I don't want to be around 24/7. The outdoors is just perfect, man. It's on autopilot, shit in the sunroom and shit. It can be on autopilot. I can have an automatic water. Indoors, like anywhere else, I would be afraid of a flood if I ever put automatic water in there. I really would, you know. And I don't know. That's why I'm gonna try this idea out. If I can get to work, I can kind of make a little makeshift like metal frame. What I can do is I can buy like high tension steel, or like I could buy like high tension steel like plate, like not plate, like uh what am I talking, like a roll of it, you know what I mean, the flat shit. And then what I would do is I would cut it into strips, and then I bend it like an L bracket, right? So I bend it kind of in half at like a 90 degree, right? And then I would weld in there like little like spacer things in between it to give it some strength, and then like drill some pilot holes on the bottom and the tops, maybe even the sides. Yeah, the side, the middles too, and then make the other piece same way, and it would just drill into those like pilot holes, and they would all like screw together. So you have the walls and all that built as like a little skeleton, and then it would have the pilot holes for the little sheet metal on the outside, so that you could then like seal the edge, and then you seal the edge, and then you screw it in with a nut and bolt on each side, right? You nut and bolt it. And to make it easier, I'd use the locking nut thing so that you could Just stick the nut on the other end, and it was self lock type of thing. Just to make it a little easier to put together. Uh, and then I would also, yeah. So that would be pretty much the box, which should be really cheap to do, right? That shouldn't cost really anything. And then it would be the doors of this thing. So you like a refrigerator door. It might even have to be something you step into. Or I'm thinking refrigerator door is not really that difficult to build one. It's just glass panel, and it's got the hinge, and it's got the that seal thing around it. That little rubber thing that makes the refrigerator door the door that seals type of thing. So you get that thing. So that shouldn't be that bad, right? Wiring up, paying an electrician. Okay, he's probably gonna charge like a few $100. I'm thinking a few $100 to wire it up with a outlet, maybe. I could probably get my buddy to do it for like not that much, or even free, maybe. If he thinks he's amused by it, get the whole thing running up. I'd have to buy refrigerators or use someone's old refrigerator. Or I'd have to, first thing I would do, I'm going to consult a refrigerator repairman and just see if he'll just build me what I need. I'm thinking he might not do it. He might say, I don't want any part in it. In which case, I'm going to have to buy the unit and use the refrigerator. So that's my only problem. I'm gonna have to buy a refrigerator to make her another refrigerator, which is kind of stupid, but I guess I might have to get a few refrigerators. Those kind of cost a lot of money. We're talking like I don't know. I don't even want to think about it right now with inflation. I haven't looked at the price of a refrigerator in a while. But I know this. You could buy those long refrigerators that were freezers. I could buy an 8 foot by like 4 foot refrigerator that went on the ground. It was just long for like what, like $300 a few years ago. Jeez, what is it now? All right, whatever. Hopefully, I can get it cheap, and that would be kind of cool. You'd have the room, and then I mean the concave floor. Eh, you know, I'd have to nip each corner of the. I'd have to cut a square out. I'd have to nip each corner of the sheet metal, and I have to bend the corners so it kind of like makes an X pattern in the sheet metal, and then I have to pilot hole all around the sheet metal and have it screw into the floor, and then that would have to have maybe some support braces down below. I could probably get away with some wood, and then drill the center out and add a drain. But like I said, that's something that would actually be something you can put in and out. I'd have something similar. It didn't it you screwed it into like a little like tray that goes in there and does that. So it'd probably be better as a tray. You can move the tray out, put anything else you want in there on each spot. And it also would have to be strong enough to walk on top of. But then I'm thinking, okay, but this would all have a grate on top of it. So I'd have to make that strong enough to walk on it. So the ground reinforcements of the frame would have to be stronger. And I'd have to use a cage, like little cage walkways in there that you can walk on, like a little platform. Because making the whole cage like that, I don't know, might be a lot more money, but I don't know. Whatever. One big cage, maybe. They'll go on. It would have to support the weight. I mean, these things, they do weigh a lot, though. But you want to support a human's weight, too. So that's what I'm saying. I would have the walkway. I'd have it so it can support, like, I don't know, like 600 pounds. You know what I mean? Because you don't know, people walking around in there, and you get more than one person or something, and maybe 1,000 pounds. I'll go like 1,000 pounds. I'm sure I could like Get one of those really strong metal grates. You know what I mean? Fuck it, right? Create a platform, or even have the walkway not even be like a grate. Have it be like solid, something solid would work. Yeah, but if you just had a small one like that you could fit like a few plants in, you could just reach in, and you didn't have to walk inside of it. That would be even better. That's more plausible because then something like that, I would only need to. I don't know. People are growing in 2x4s right now. So what if you made like a 2x4, I guess, right? A 3x4 or something. Give a little extra room. And then make it so that you could just program the thing and it would do everything for you. You wouldn't have to do anything. That would be fucking awesome right there. Well, that's going to conclude this episode. And personally, I think it's a good idea. I think it could work. I think this is probably the future of cannabis right here, where one day someone's going to figure out how to like make something like this, like cheap. You know what I mean? Like a refrigerator company and stuff. I mean, it's really not that hard. It's just like someone's gonna like mark it up a lot of money, because like I said, all that material doesn't really cost much, and it's just like bending shit and drilling shit, and you don't have to line it with plastic or do any of that. It can just be like cheaply sealed, right? Or you could have it expensively sealed. You could have something like really high, fine quality. Like if you were a refrigerator company, they could make it perfect seal, which would actually be awesome. But I don't know. Would be cool. Maybe I could get this video out to a refrigerator company and they could, I don't know, put this in R&D, make something that you can grow plants with and stuff like that. See, this would work with other plants, I would think, obviously. So if they're afraid of the whole cannabis thing, you could get it through by saying just for plants and just put all the specifications that you would need for your growing your marijuana inside, and you could grow anything else inside too. So you could get them to do that, and there you go. That would be cool too. Imagine being able to put a tomato plant in there, and like it'll let you know when the tomatoes are ready. It'll do everything for you. Feed it, take care of pests, because it could take care of like mildew and stuff because it could shine UV lights and shit in there. It could IPM. It could do all sorts of stuff. Uh, you could actually have something here, man. I'm telling you. You could have little misters in there that every now and then just give it a mist because you might want to like IPM. You might want to foliar feed or like just mist some water on it or something. That would actually be really cool. And it would be also cool if you could have it customizable so you could stick whatever grow light you wanted in there. So if you have like an optic or something, you could stick that inside of it, and then you're good to go. You know what I mean? You just plug it right in, and this would handle it all in this unit. You wouldn't have to worry about a million things plugged in, because anything you need to plug in, you plug into the refrigerator. But the refrigerator plugs into there, and the way you can have like the resistors and the electricity, you know how they. So having one unit like this would be a less of a problem for your electricity because you have it so that it's only drawing out a safe amount to supply the refrigerator that then can like increase the electrical capacity more to supply everything else in your tent, right? So again, it's not like you'd have to freaking use every outlet in your freaking room and some in the next room just to get your freaking shit how you want it because you have to plug so much stuff in it. This could have that functionality. Yeah, you could even plug a electric strip inside of the refrigerator in the outlet and get even more. You could have an outlet on every wall. You know, you could have a battery put in there so that it can, in case the power goes out, the refrigerator can stay on and remain powered and stuff. I'm surprised modern refrigeration doesn't have that aspect in it, like a simple refrigerator that has like a battery in it that is like charged to the full, but like every now and then it kind of like maintains it with like drawing a little, putting a little in, so that if like your power goes out for a few hours, like you don't have to worry. Your refrigerator battery kicks on and it'll like stay cold a little longer. It's funny how like when the power goes out, the refrigerator's out, and they haven't put like a backup battery system in it yet. I mean, it would just make the refrigerator even more money though. You can think about how much those batteries fucking cost. Refrigeration would be a lot of money. But I don't know. For something like this, I think it would be worth it. Someone might pay the money if they're growing bud instead of food and say, I'll add on the extra cost of the battery, or you can buy your own battery and hook it in. See, it should have its ability to be able to have that as a essentially add-on. Yeah, so that if you don't have a battery, it's fine. It's just gonna like you're gonna have to put a generator on it or something to get your power up. But you could also put a battery into it, and that battery would kick on if it ever was a chance that your power went out. So your grow thing would stay going for an amount of time that hopefully it'll come back on by then, right? Because the power's only usually out for what, like hours or like maybe into the next day. Like it's rare that you need days of power. If you need days of electricity, you're fucked anyway, and you probably have a generator. But usually, like an hour shut off in like the middle of its veg cycle during the day. I mean, that can be like fuck for some people, right? What do you do? It's just like you just gotta like deal with it, I guess. So again, I think this would beat the tent because the tent you need to use all the outlets. This would be contained into one thing. A refrigerator has the dehumidifier in it. It has the ability to control the temperature. It has the ability to produce light. And imagine you just have that outlet so you can plug your own light into it. Um, you could have it so that it's pumping CO2 in it. Um, you have it so that humidity control. I don't know if you can control the humidity, but they got dehumidifiers, so might as well have a dehumidifier controller on it. Uh, it has a water filtering unit inside of it. These refrigerators commonly have like a water filter inside of them, so you could add a water filter unit easily to this whole system, and have that feed into where your plants are. So from the outside, you can just hit the water button, and it'll just water till you see it drip out, and you just stop, and it takes care of it, drips it down, takes the water out, and you might never even have to open the doors. You know what I mean? Unless you train it and trim it and stuff like that. Obviously, have it so that you can put a scrog in it, and even have it so that like built into the side, the four posts of the frame going up, you could have built in there so that it can raise and lower, kind of like a bearing or like just some type of squeeze clamp that you squeeze it and it like goes into itself, and you let go, it expands and grips. Maybe even something like that in each corner so that you can go up and down, or even like a magnet might work, and you can elevate or lower the scrog however you want, and put as many scrogs as you want in there, right? So there you go on that. It has everything you need, everything you'd want. Um, Again, you can have it so it has like a UV feature into it, so that you're killing any spores inside of there. You know, as like a little treatment. You can have misters on it, so it mists your plant, so that if you ever need to foliar feed or like IPM, bam, right there. Obviously, you want a fan in there, some type of fan blowing. I think some refrigerators do have a fan, but it's different. That fan kind of is used to like suck out, but that proves that the fans are involved in this whole thing. So like all the technology is there to like have it work. You just have to rearrange it in a way and make it into a grow containment system, right? I've seen NASA use something similar to that on a spaceship, but I don't know. Maybe I'm on the ISS doing a plant thing. I don't know. I'll have to rewatch that video. It might not even be a refrigerator, but you think you'd want to contain it. I think it might even have something like that. I would think this would actually be kind of cool. I don't know. So we'll probably just end this one here. I definitely killed the topic. You want to hear it from the beginning, you have to rewind it and all that jazz, and it'll be out. And end this one.